Right, you should be watching this video if you are ready to do your photo shoot about plants, and I'm going to talk you through some tips on how to do that. So, first of all, you need to make sure that you've planned your shoot on your PowerPoint and you've got your artists sorted. Remember, it's very important that your pictures look a bit similar to your artists. So on your computer, get your artists up on your screen and then you can keep referring back to your artists. Right, so then you need to set up your backdrop. As you can see, I've just used a cardboard box and attached a piece of paper to it. You might want to look around the room, see if there's a box. If not, you might want to just get a pile of books off the bookshelf and use that. Just use what's around you to set something up like this. Think carefully about the piece of paper that you're going to use. Are you going to use pink paper, yellow paper? Are you just going to use white paper or black paper? It's entirely up to you, but you need to link it to your artist. So what does your artist use? I've also decided that a piece of lace would look quite nice. As you can see, I found a piece of lace. So if I just move this out of the way, I could drop down a piece of lace like this and I could use that for the backdrop as well. You need to make sure that the piece of paper is bigger than the plant that you're photographing, or it's not going to work. When you take the photograph, we don't want to see any distractions in the background. We just want to see the piece of paper. So make sure it's big. So if you're using a really big plant, you're going to need a really big piece of paper. Okay? What else? Think very carefully about what plant you're going to use. It has to link to your artist. I will keep repeating that. It has to link. I have brought in a box of plants that you can rummage through and use them, but it would be much better if you can bring in your own plants. You should be told when you're doing your shoot, so please get organised, bring your own plants in that you want to photograph. Now, I have bought these. They're actually for shoes, but I thought they might be quite useful to stand your plant up in them. I've also just put a little bit of blue tack in there, and you could put some blue tack on the bottom as well if you want to. And then, as you can see, you could just put your plant in here and it stands up nicely. If you're only using a small plant, you probably don't even need to use this, and you could literally just get a piece of blue tack, put it on the bottom, like that. Oh, and then your plant should stand up if you're lucky. Again, if it's too big, that's not going to work. Okay? Then I have also been busy and I've bought these cute little lights that you can use. So you just click and you can turn them on. So, as you can see, if you move the light around, it's going to cast some different shadows for you. So when you're taking your pictures, experiment and play around with moving these little lights around like this. If you don't want a shadow in the background, just move the light to the side, and then as you can see, there's now no shadow. Don't have the plant too close to the background, so you can see I've moved it a little bit forward, and that also helps with the shadows. Okay, you can also move the light up, and you can see the shadow changes, and you can move it down. So just play around with where you want to place the light. You could also introduce a second light, because there's a few of them. So there we go. And you see, you can play around and get different effects. So for example, I could have the pink light lighting the background, okay, like that. And then that's giving me a nice silhouette when I take the photograph now. And then you could possibly introduce a second light at the front, and I can move that front light around. Okay, so just experiment with moving these lights around and see what different effects you get. And make sure you take lots of pictures. Another thing that you could do is, if you have a look what I've done here, move these out of the way. All I've done is I have just sellotaped a bit of paper around this light, and hopefully you can see the effect. This has created a spotlight. Can you see? So this is quite effective if maybe you just want to light a tiny bit of the plant. It has to be quite close though to the plant in order to create a spotlight. Okay, so you could experiment with doing that. Another thing that you could do, is on your light, you could add what is called a gel. So there should be some of these gels, and there's loads of different colours. All I've done is added a little bit of sellotape to it, and then I can just attach that to my light like that, turn it on, and ta-da! You can't probably see that in the video too well, but that's now created a bit of a red light. Okay, so if you want to, you could add some gels, and then that will cast some nice colours for you as well. Nearly done, guys. Another thing you could experiment with, especially if you've used black paper, this might look quite good. Again, you might need to annoy someone in DT, or there might be some of this in the box, I'm not sure, but this is just a piece of Perspex and it's reflective. So you might be able to borrow a piece from DT, or there might be some mirrors in the box. When I'm back in school, I'll sort that out for you, but this is really good. As you can see, that's going to create a reflection when you take a photograph, and then you might just have to, I'll show you how to edit out the piece of blue tack. So if you want to experiment with reflections, do that. You could also have a go at spraying a little bit of water onto the plants, and that might look quite nice. Please be sensible with the water spray, or that will be taken off you. Okay, so hopefully that's given you quite a lot of ideas of the sort of things you can do when you're taking your pictures. You need to spend all lesson taking these photographs. You need to take lots of pictures. You need to try out lots of different things. Don't just do the same thing. Photograph lots of different plants, maybe try lots of different backgrounds and just experiment and see what you come up with. If you've made some decisions already, like, oh, I really want to use an orange gel, you might want to put that on your PowerPoint and put it on your planning shoot. Okay, I'm going to use a white background, I'm going to maybe use a coloured gel, or so make sure you've written this down on your PowerPoint. And that's it, that's everything. So just a really quick summary from me. Make sure it links to your artists. Make sure you've thought very carefully about your background. Maybe think about using some material such as lace or something. You must fill the frame when you take the pictures. Let's not have anything in the background. Think carefully about what plants you are selecting and maybe stand them up. Play around with these little lights and experiment with how you light them. Maybe experiment with the gels, add a bit of colour. You could add some reflections. You could maybe add a little bit of water as well. So hopefully that's lots of things for you to think about and enjoy it. Right, that's everything from me. Thanks. Bye-bye.